Well, let's get into the conversation a little bit. We're setting the stage. Can you give us a little bit of context or just some understanding of who Carl Jung is before we start talking about shadow work and modern counseling and philosophy and all these things?
Yeah, so to preface, I'm not a Jungian analyst.
Sure.
I use a lot of Jung in my work for his concepts and whatnot, and I do see a Jungian analyst every week. I think next week will be like our 50 something session. So I'm not by no means an expert, but I love it. I love it so much. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from. But Carl Jung was a Swiss psychologist who, was famous kind of at the turn of the century. Was buddies with Freud and Alfred Adler, and he's kind of responsible for personality tests.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about like the Myers-Briggs or any type of type indicator, it's because of him. And the reason why he created that was because he noticed a difference between Adler, and Freud, and was like, what the hell is going on? They're so different than me, but they're really brilliant. So the Myers-Briggs kind of based itself off of his original personality test. So anyway, Jung is a psychoanalyst. He's old school. He's the foundation for a lot of theories like internal family systems. Mm-hmm. I think is kind of based off of what he set in motion of like the different parts work that you have. And interestingly enough, there's a lot of art out there that's based on Jung. I think Dali, I believe, don't quote me on this, was an analysand of Jung. Mm-hmm. So Salvador Dali. I know that Hermann Hesse was. So a lot of art is kind of based on Jung. The band Tool. if you like the band right? Tool.
Well, you mentioned before the show that his work in particular resonates with artists, and I know that we'll get into it a little bit, but there's I suppose a little bit of conflict between that more artistically driven personality type, if we're gonna use that Jungian notion, versus like the more skeptical or scientifically minded personality type. Is that part of what we're getting into here?
Kind of, yeah. And what's interesting about that specifically is Jung was that scientific type. He was not feelings oriented. Freud was. So I guess Jung would be, if it's an, E-N something J, he's a T. He's the thinking. Freud is the F. So Jung always wanted to kind of have the scientific community back him, and was really sad whenever he died. He said that only the poets would understand where he's coming from, and he really wanted some more validity. So it's really cool that theories such as, what did I say? Internal family systems ended up coming from that. Yeah.